To be talking later on in the show to our good friend Vic the Wop, who puts on Star Trek Continues, YouTube series, great series, all the original costumes and stuff. He's going to be joining us also with Andy Farber, who does the very iconic music for the Star Trek show. And also coming right up, we're going to be talking about a very famous rock and roll murder, unsolved murder. But now that I've done that, let me introduce the members of the gang here on the Musical X-Files show. Girls, get ready. It doesn't matter what we call it because he's here, okay? Big fan, big box of Kleenex, big box of wipes. Very famous Lonnie.
Hello, Mac. Hello, girls. Welcome to the show. It's going to be a great evening tonight. It's going to be. I love doing the music show. You're gonna love it.
Are you in a musical mood?
I am.
Really?
I'm in tune, I think.
Are you really?
Yeah.
That's good news.
I'm in tune. That's
okay.
Who's got a chromatic tuning device handy? I forgot to bring mine. Sure. I usually clip it to my ear.
Do you really? And all this time I thought that was an earring. Silly me. Anyway. Coco's on a secret mission. No Coco tonight. He really doesn't know anything about music anyway. Well, how much would he add to this?
He knows way more about pigs than he does about music.
Yeah. What do you need to?
And I'm not talking about the Animals album or something, you know?
Right, yeah, the Animals, yeah, the Beatles, yeah. I sprayed for them yesterday.
Well, then he probably knows the Looney Tunes jingle then, right?
By heart.
That's all, folks, and the music that goes behind it. Right.
And he has an interpretive dance that goes along with it. Well, listen, that voice you just heard is our national correspondent, Switchblade Steve Ward up there in Battle Creek, Michigan. Switchy, how you doing?
I am beyond wonderful, Mac.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And, I mean, I guess it's up to me. Did you get like another haircut or something? What's going on with the top there?
No, I think I remember to comb it this time before the show.
Oh, okay. All right.
Same hair, a little longer.
The pot's on the right side? Is that pot on the right side, the correct side?
Well, you know, he could be looking at his Zoom video.
That's where it always
reversed.
is, you know.
Is it really? Yeah.
I don't care what club says.
Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of, a little shifty, that guy, sometimes.
I'm not going to tell him you said that. Anyway, okay, so now.
He'll hear it when he hears the show.
Okay. This is definitely Beauty and the Beast here because the beauty is with us. Raven, how you doing tonight, Raven?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me back.
What is Winona Raven? Winona Raven.
That's right. Winona Raven.
Right. Thanks for joining us.
Love it.
Thank you. Also joining us is recovering rock star Matt Malley out there in California. Matt, how you doing?
Really good. Good to be here.
Okay, Matt, bass player for the Counting Crows. Been through it all. 14 years as a rock star and 14 years in recovery from being a rock star. Is that? Do we have the numbers right?
You're still shaking that gack off my ankles there. It's not easy.
Wow. Okay. Another musician joining us here. Mark Poulin. Mark, how you doing? Very famous singer, lead singer and guitar player of Sky Club. How are you?
Yeah, famous.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Okay, doing good. And also, let's introduce our very special guest here, Jocko Johnson, ex-NYPD. Jocko, how you doing? Jocko, Officer Jocko.
Good, man.
Okay.
Thank you for your service, Jocko.
Yeah, I guess. Can you say...
you as well, you guys.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. Can you say...
Good to meet you, Jocko.
Can you say, pull over and let me see your license? Can you?
Want me to try that?
Sure, do it. Yeah, do it.
Kidding? What you really want to hear?
Go ahead.
Hey, Turkey, let me see your license and registration.
Hey, Turkey. He speaks New York.
That's how we did it. There was no sirs and madams back then.
And I don't mean tomorrow, buddy.
Right, yes.
Right, today. That's it for you. We're done.
Now, Jocko, you were in the...
don't show me any money or show me any body parts. Just give me a license and registration.
Nothing about it. Take it out of your wallet.
Yeah.
For me.
Right, no drama.
Take it out for me.
Take it out for me.
Exactly.
Wow.
Let me get my gloves.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
I think we hit JJ's funny bone.
Yeah, there you go.
I locked the guy up and got an actual... an award for running a big sting on a guy.
Really?
Russian guy got pulled over, wanted to get off, and he was going to be deported. And we got his boss, and I had to get my boss. And we set up a meeting, and they told me, "You can't just pay me; you got to pay everybody." You know, I got to pay my guys. I'm locking all of these guys up. They all got deported back to the Soviet Union back then.
Wow. I'm sure they haven't.
That's cool. And you set up a meeting. That's really cool.
They paid and got deported.
But the Rat Squad wanted in on it, so you know the cheese eaters come down and they want to do everything.
Wow, that's exciting.
I'm sure they're having fun back in Russia, all of them.
Jeez.
So, what we're doing tonight is this musical show. We're going to talk about an unsolved murder case. Now, Jocko is a legal expert. He doesn't know what case we're going to talk about, so we're going to kind of talk about the case and how weird it was, and the guy also who was involved, the person who was homicided, as they say, and let's just try to figure out. I mean, I don't know if we can figure it out, but it's just an odd case. So anyway, what we're talking about is this guy named Bobby Fuller, and he was he had one major hit in 1965, in December 65, JJ just told me, with a song called I Fought the Law and the Law Won. Jocko, I'm hoping you don't know this. So
I know him and I heard the song.
Okay.
So that's all I know.
So what happened? So they were, Claire, if you have a little bit, do you have some info right in front of you that you can read off to us?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I most certainly do.
Right.
So Bobby Fuller, they did consider him the rock and roll king of Texas. He was born October 22nd, 1944 in Baytown, Texas. So we have a Libra that's on the cusp of Scorpio season. So
okay.
Hold on, everybody.
All right.
Okay. And he was found dead July 18th, 1966 in Los Angeles at the age of 23.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was like so pure, so I had to include this.
Okay.
According to his parents, their names were Lawson and Eva Lorraine. They noticed his love of music at the age of 4 because he wandered off when they were walking down the street, and he started following a blind man who was singing, and he was trying to sing along with him.
Oh, wow.
And that was when they noticed this talent, and I thought that was just so adorable. So I had to include that.
Yeah.
He started playing the piano at age 5, and then eventually they formed the Bobby Fuller Four in 1961 in El Paso, and it was Bobby Fuller, his brother Randy Fuller, who was the bassist, Jim Reese was the guitarist, and Dwayne Quirico.
Yes.
Was the drummer.
Sounds like Texas to me.
And then they moved to Los Angeles in 1964. So then we come to, like I said, July 18th, 1966.
So I would say
he is found dead in his mother's car.
Right. This is where I want.
He's in the.
I'm sorry. This is where I just want Jocko to tell us what's going on here. So I'll just tell you how this guy was found. Okay. He was found in his mother's car with a 5-gallon can of gasoline with 3 of the gallons gone. He drank, or someone made him drink, 3 gallons of gasoline. And that's how they found him. I've never heard of anyone, passing away that way. Now, the thing is, I think originally, Raven, didn't they think that it was a suicide? But then it turned out he had bruises on him and there was some kind of a struggle going on, right?
Yeah, so they did find bruises all over his body. However, that was not included in the autopsy report. And he was also completely doused in gasoline. So it wasn't only in his body, but it was on his body.
Right, yeah. So I'm going to, and it was never solved. And, you hear that song. I heard it just like the other day, probably here in the station. It's kind of like an oldie. And everyone,
I got the original 45 on Mustang Records.
Yeah, and it was, everyone kind of knew it. I don't remember when he died.
I forget what's on the flip side. But.
Yeah, everyone does. But, I know. I heard about him dying maybe like this 15 years ago. I mean, when he died, it wasn't. I guess I just didn't see it in the paper. But anyway, so let me just go to the musicians first, okay? Let me go to Matt. Matt, now you've been out in the world. You're a worldly guy, okay? Can you? And this guy was a musician, and I know that the music business isn't, can be a little dicey, right? Of course, you guys never ran into that, did you? The Counting Crows. Did you ever run into
No, things never got that wild.
Okay.
I gotta admit,
but it happens.
That's. Sorry, Matt.
But it happens.
Yeah, that stuff happens, doesn't it? Yeah, but yeah, that's. Whew, I don't know how he got himself into like hanging around the wrong crowd or pissed off a bunch of the wrong people.
Old money.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mark Poulin, what's your theory, Mark? I have a theory, but what's your theory? Why did they make this guy drink 3 gallons of gasoline? A musician.
Someone owed money, maybe a mob deal or something.
That's what I think that they owe money.
I don't know.
Well, we'll go right around the country. Raven, you have any? What do you think? UFOs, aliens?
I wouldn't go. No. I have some theories.
Go ahead.
People did suspect the mafia because there was talk that the record label that he was signed to used a hard hand, I guess is the way to put it. There's also talk that the Manson family was involved, but I think that's unlikely. And then they talked about how he could have overdosed on LSD, but I don't think overdosing on LSD is a thing, is it? I mean, you just have a bad trip, right?
Yeah, or like a really bad trip. Maybe he thought he was drinking a beer. Okay, Switchy, do you have any theories there, JJ? Let's switch. Go ahead, Switchy.
JJ or Switchy?
Switchy.
Whatever he did must have, if they forced him to drink that, he must have really, really angered them because they could have just bumped him off without any trouble.
Right.
They could have used the gas in their vehicles.
For the getaway car.
But there was something he did to infuriate them where they wanted him to really suffer.
Go ahead. Then I'm going to go to Jocko. Go ahead, JJ.
Wasn't he involved with the head of Roulette Records, who was Morris Levy? Wasn't he featured in the book Hitmen?
Yes.
I have that book.
You really? Yeah.
And that guy was a
hitman.
A P-man, right?
Yeah.
Capital P.
Yeah. There's a recording studio in New York. I'm sure, Matt and Mike have heard about it. It's called the Hit Factory. The Hit Factory. Many big records. It's called the Hit Factory because the guy who built it was a hitman in Philly. It's a true story. So anyway.
How ironic is that?
I took it that way.
Hey, listen, Switchy. What? So we're all kind of saying, well, it sounds like he owed money, that he pissed some people off, whatever. My theory is, I think that the guy who did it forgot to bring matches. I think they were going to burn the car. Right? Doesn't that make sense?
Who brought the matches?
Yeah, who brought the matches?
Yeah. I got the cannolis, but who brought the matches?
I got
Didn't have his Zippo.
Anyway.
Lighters back then?
All right, I'm going to throw this to our legal expert now, Jocko Johnson, 10 years in the NYPD Blue, and he's also an expert at solving cold cases. So tell us, Jocko, what do you think happened?
Well, Mac, Raven, you're an empath. You got anything you can tell me that we don't know?
It's only a 2-hour show.
What kind of vibes you get out of this?
So to me, I really don't. This screams foul play to me, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I just don't see him killing himself. It doesn't make any sense.
Ways.
In quotes.
Exactly. Yeah. So it doesn't make sense to me. But
how do you drink more than like a half a cup of gasoline before you either throw up or? It's freaking gasoline, and he drank 3 gallons of it.
I got to tell you, first of all, this is difficult because usually what I'll do is we'll start the investigation. I mean, we talked about last time how we had a 13-year-old cold case, and in about 30 days, my guys, we got together and we nailed it right away. And thing is, though, we start from the beginning at the crime as if it's a brand new crime, and we just have new eyes looking at it. And what we do is we interview every cop, every person who is involved, who's still alive. We go to the cops that were there because sometimes they have notes and books, their notebooks, that they didn't actually put everything in reports. But I think the important thing in this case is the forensics. So because gas was cheap back then. Everybody smoked. Somebody had a lighter or a match. Okay.
Yep.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Did the the ME does an autopsy, and you got nothing about what did it say? You didn't have any kind of
yeah. So the ME did not report
no
any
toxicology.
bruising.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah, they didn't do anything.
Nothing about just gasoline. Okay. With the gasoline in his stomach, did it match the gasoline in his car? Because these gases are made with certain little things, chemicals. I don't know about then, but now, you can almost tell where it came from, what refinery, who made it, who's manufactured.
Yeah.
The other thing is, was he buried or was he cremated? Or
I wouldn't want to cremate him. It would blow the place up.
Well, that would be it.
Pretty sure he's buried in the cemetery has like a beautiful name. Let me look it up.
Okay. Was he a gambler or, he owed a lot of people money?
Yeah, he's a young kid. They had a hit. That was a definite hit. And a lot of times, the artist, as is the last person to get the trickle down of any money.
Right.
I
got my thinking cap on for this.
Yeah, there you go. Wow. All right, cool. We are a radio show. But
if you guys like this, you might be seeing something. So.
Go ahead. So,
the thing about it is, we would definitely go first. What I would want to do is exhume this body and have a very good pathologist. And we worked with the best in the world, which was Dr. Michael Bard. And he was an expert. He did almost 20,000 autopsies. And a lot of them were real autopsies. I mean, he would find things out. I mean, you talk about things where we had a case where a boy drowned and we checked these things and he came out with these diatoms that were in water, these little microscopic creatures that go right to your bone marrow. And they're all different from every water. Wherever a pond or lake. Yeah. And he could tell exactly that this guy did not drown in that pond. And, we had to know that. And,
wow, that's wild.
The police department has to be good enough to know that when I got to the scene, when the body popped up, he looked like he took a bath. So I knew he wasn't in this water and he didn't die there. But we made sure that they took samples of the water at different levels, depths, temperatures. We took all these, forensic things. And LA is a big department and they would do these things, you'd hope.
Yeah.
But we're talking about 1966.
Yeah, yes.
So the mob,
yes.
Mac,
yes,
and fellas, girls, when they kill you, they're not going to fool around, okay?
Yes.
These guys were amateurs, whoever did it probably. The mob goes up, they get you in a car, they get up behind you, they put 222s behind your ear, that's it. You're done. You're in the trunk, you're done.
Yes.
Unless they want to send a message.
Yes.
So what did this guy do? What happened? What was the connection with gasoline?
Gasoline.
I don't know. See, because like I said, we'd have to go out and really go back and check. Now, he came from Texas. Was his family in the business? Oil business? I don't know. That's a far out thing, but but you never can say to yourself, hey, I got tunnel vision. This is what happened. This is how it was. You have to explore everything.
How about that he was in his mother's car?
It seems like.
Maybe he was in his mother's car. Maybe
what?
He was in his mother's car.
An Oldsmobile, no less.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did he have his own car?
No, he was in his mother's car.
Did they take prints in the car? Were the prints
according
taken
to
in the car?
According to the LA Times.
The door? When did the parents know? Was the key in the ignition? Was the tank empty? Was he going to put gas in the car?
Yeah, maybe.
And was the guy depressed? Did he owe money? Did he have problems?
Yeah.
If he was a happy-go-lucky guy, he wouldn't want to off himself.
Yeah.
I mean, this doesn't sound like. There's a lot of easy ways to case.
Was it regular or high test?
You grab a bottle of booze and
many
a bunch of
questions.
Pills, and good night. You don't wake up.
Did he use his
his
speed card for the purchase?
Right. Yeah.
But according to the LA Times, there were no fingerprints taken.
Yeah, they didn't do a very good job.
And no interviews.
Yeah, no interviews. Nothing.
See, that's what I'm saying.
That's
weird.
They threw the gas tank out. They didn't print it. Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Like I said, it's almost impossible for me to tell you, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to disappoint you.
That's okay.
We'd have to go back from day one and do this whole entire investigation it just occurred. It's a long time ago. A lot of people aren't going to be alive.
Yes.
But you know what? There's somebody in jail there's somebody he knew somewhere who knows something.
Yep.
A lot of times what happens is a guy takes a fall on something and out of the clear blue sky, he says, if you could make me a deal, get me out of here.
Yes.
I want to get out of the joint a little quicker. I could tell you something that nobody knows anything about. You're like, really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't make no deals. The DA has to do it, but tell me what you say. I'll talk.
But tell me anyway.
And that happens a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
But, it's hard because, like I said, this case was so mishandled. And I'm surprised, the LAPD.
Yeah.
Because they're a very good police department, But, I mean, I have, where I was, that would never happen.
Right.
Because you got bosses overlooking.
Let me ask you something, Jocko.
The detective on the scene is in charge of that case.
Did they?
And he will make sure that forensics are done.
Did they not? Yeah. Did they not put their total effort into this because he was like a dirty hippie or something? Anything like that?
I don't know. It could be. Okay. Like I said, I don't know what kind of problems he would make, but they didn't like his attitude. The song, really. I thought the law won.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they didn't care for it.
It was a hit.
The message, you got to understand, that was a tumultuous time.
Yes.
Well,
but
I got to say, if they hit this guy, if somebody came in to bang him out, if they paid somebody off, this guy was nailed by a bunch of. I mean, they seem like amateurs.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe they're pretty good guys by now, but by then, it's like they come in the middle of the night in the dark, bang bang. You're in the trunk.
Well, that's a big question. Why would you hit the guy?
Somebody calls the cops. How many times we got that call? We popped the trunk and, once you get the whiff of that, you know what it is.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there we go. So. Perfect. So, hey, you're listening to Mack Maloney's Musical X-Files here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We've been talking about rock and roll murders, unsolved murders. But I want to switch something. Then I want to ask Jocko something. Switch, people are still going to be interested in what you had for breakfast, even though this is a musical X-File. So, Switchy, tell the world, what did you have for breakfast this morning? And hopefully it's going to be good.
Okay, it was more of a late brunch, than a breakfast. But nonetheless, I had a chocolate sundae.
Oh, yes. Yes.
With vanilla ice cream, soft serve.
Go ahead.
Chocolate syrup, not hot fudge.
Go ahead.
And whipped cream, no nuts or cherry.
Where'd you go? Dairy Queen? Dairy Queen?
You lost me at soft serve.
Yeah. No, it's a place, what was it called? Mooville.
Oh, Mooville. Perfect.
No, I don't. The soft serve.
Sounds like it was made up, doesn't it? Yeah.
Sounds like you had ice cream with syrup.
But it was my first soft serve sundae of the season. So
okay, good. Switchy. I was expecting a couple Pop-Tarts and 4 pieces of bacon, but
no. I went healthy. I went fiber.
Fiber, yeah. In the cone, in the cup.
In a cup. Easier to handle.
All right, so listen. So we got about 20 more minutes here, and we're talking music. So I'm just going to ask the musicians in the room. First of all, Matt Malley, when you grew up, who did you listen to? Now who did you listen to when you were growing up? And I'm hopefully you're going to say the Monkees.
I was a Monkees fanatic, but I grew up on the Big Five: Zeppelin, Floyd, the Beatles, the Who. Who's the fifth? I don't know.
The Stones. You don't like the Stones?
The Stones.
Stones. Okay.
I like the Stones. I like the Stones.
Okay. All right. Okay, you knew them personally.
And I think everybody after them suck, or everybody after them are a shadow of the real deal.
Yeah,
microwaved rehashes.
Right. Yeah, they're the originals. So let's just talk about the Monkees for a second. I know how we got to this, but the Monkees were literally a prefabricated group that they hired actors who could play and perform. They manufactured, albums.
A couple of them were real bona fide musicians.
Well, they were musicians, yeah, but they weren't a band. They were actors who could play.
Mike Nesmith was a songwriter.
He was a good songwriter, but they had a TV show in the 60s, and they put together an album. The Wrecking Crew played the music on the album. They had big hits. But people didn't know that they were a fake band for like 2 years into it. And then when they found out, it was like the end of it. But the thing about the Monkees is...
Davy Jones worked in the theater. That was pretty cool.
Davy Jones worked in the theater. Peter Tork was on TV. Mickey Dolenz was Circus Boy on TV. And Ned Smith's mother invented whiteout. She was like a multimillionaire before he even hit the ground, you know.
Still used today on many computer screens.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah. So I'm talking about the monkeys.
I scrape it off all the time. When
yeah. It doesn't work? I only brought up the monkeys because I got to throw it at Jocko again. Jocko, don't you know Mickey Dolenz or something? Didn't Mickey Dolenz give you his guitar, or you arrested the monkeys or something?
No, what happened was we were doing a detail on stolen property recovery, and me and another fellow partner, a guy I never worked with a lot, but I worked for the priest with him. He was a really, really good guy. He turned out to be a newspaper reporter, crime reporter for the New York Post afterwards. And we just got this call, and, somebody was saying they had started to sell these items, and we went in there. We were told they were the guitars from the Monkees.
Mm-hmm.
And checked, and apparently they had a burglary at one time or another, and I believe it was out in L.A. someplace, and we recovered these 2 guitars, and the guys in the precinct really razzed us because for somehow, some way, they had one of those toys that everybody had, I think, when they were kids, the monkey with the little drum, and
yes,
and they stuck that in the back of us with the picture as the post was in there trying to take pictures. But I recovered these things.
Really?
So we got these 2 guitars and this drum monkey playing the drums.
Had to come from the monkeys. Then okay, yeah, cool. Wow. I'm trying to. I want to ask Mark Poulin if he has any good showbiz stories, but the one that we talked about off air, we probably shouldn't tell, right? Do you have any other ones?
We dumped that one already, huh?
How about the Madison Hotel implosion? You want that one?
Sure, why not? Okay. Now, first of all,
or what was the other one? Okay, yeah.
Well, you opened for REM, right? You took some illegal substances.
Oh, that's another story.
Okay, and you saw a building collapse in front of you, and you didn't know what was going on, right? Is that the elevator pitch?
No, we knew. We were all tripping. We stayed up all night waiting for it.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right.
Was he?
Go ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did he open for REM anywhere in New York? Was that in Shea Stadium, by any chance?
No, that was Streets in Brookline. They were just a college band
Boston,
then,
yeah.
college radio.
In Boston.
They had a little van they were driving around with their gear. And it happened to have been my birthday, and we were backstage and really doing it up, if you know what I mean.
Partying.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I came out, and I was, that and the drinking and everything. I came out to the side of the stage, and the guitar guy was right there. The stage is, not very high. And but I was.
Whoa!
So the guy's microphone fell over off the, went on the guitar amp.
Okay.
And he looks at me like, get it. It's like, oh boy. And I'm like, It took everything I could to get up on that stage and put the mic back up.
Really?
And I was so afraid I'd just go boom,
Well, that would have been me. Why not?
But I didn't, and everything's fine. Yeah.
Did you sing along with them? Did you sing a song? Did they ask you to sing a song with them?
Oh, no. They didn't want that. Oh, they didn't ask for that. Yeah.
I did a special detail at Shea Stadium back in the 80s, and REM was like they weren't an opening act, but the Police were there, and I think it was one of the Synchronicity tours, and Police, REM from Atlanta, they still drove on a bus and stuff, and Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. So,
Joan Jett.
I got a bunch of good pictures, Mac. I can send you of things going on in the stands.
Yes.
But we were told at one point, there's too many people smoking pot now.
What?
So this is the early 80s, and me and my partner were just going around kicking doors of the stalls open in all the bathrooms because there were like crowds coming out and contact cars,
You're harshing
and
the
we
buzz.
were just flushing everything and everybody right down all the toilets at Shea Stadium.
Freaking cops.
Really? You got to do your job.
Yeah, you got to do your job. You're right.
Right.
So, listen, I got to Matt Malley. I'm trying to go around the room here. Matt Malley, you have your beard back, and you're looking like Tony Curtis again. I know this is off topic, but do you agree they won one? Uh-oh. Wow, he's giving you a quick study. He's ruminating.
Studying.
I've been told Stephen
Tony
King
Curtis?
or George Lucas.
Wait,
George
Stephen
Lucas.
King?
George Lucas. Yeah, George Lucas. Yeah.
I think
George
Stephen
Lucas.
King is shorter than me, and he's got like dark dark hair.
Yeah, you don't want to be
Anything
Stephen
like
King,
Stephen
believe me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe a retired Stephen King, an old Stephen King. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're younger than him.
Yeah, you don't want to go anywhere near Stephen King. You know,
I would definitely say George Lucas.
George Lucas is
Yeah, George Lucas makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's a famous story about Stephen King. Stephen King, you know, these literary guys who are into baseball drive me nuts, you know? And
I don't mind if they're into it, but they make it seem like they're an expert on baseball.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, you know, they come out to Fenway Park. It's a little, you know, bird box of a ballpark and all that bullshit.
Best seats in the house.
Yeah, and it's a dump, frankly. And
It is.
do you know what I mean? I mean, it really is. And you just kind of, they're fooled by it, you know? Do you know what I mean?
What's a dump?
Fenway Park.
Fenway? It's not a dump.
It was built the year the Titanic sank. How can it not be?
It's a charming definition of a baseball ballpark.
He falls for it, exactly.
Come on, yeah, I do. It's a charming historic venue.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, boy, you really
Aren't
want
there more rats in there than they get?
Yes.
Aren't there more rats in Fenway and there are fans that show up at a game?
Well,
yes.
More like a furry one.
As it turns out.
if I was a musician and I was forming my recording our first album, I would call it "Rats Ate My Pizza."
There you go. Rats Eat My Pizza. Exactly. Hey, Matt, did you ever play in Boston? Did you ever play Boston?
Hey.
Matt, let me just ask Matt for a second.
Yeah,
Matt,
we did.
You must have been the Garden, right? It must have been the Boston Garden.
You know what? I can't tell you. It's all such a blur over the years.
Mm-hmm.
We played early on. We played a small place in Boston, like probably a bar where they have bands. You know,
Okay. They have a few of them.
We did Mr. Toads and but then later on, I bet we did a theater. I bet we played a theater in Boston, and we did a show. We opened for the Who at a outdoor shed, whatever the shed is.
Oh, it
in
must have
Boston.
been.
You guys probably played the Orpheum Theater.
The
That's where a
Orpheum,
lot of
or the
bands
music
went to.
hall.
Or the music hall. Yeah.
Yeah, music hall. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. We
So you
played there
opened
multiple times.
You opened for the Who?
Yeah, we opened for the Who in Boston. We did about 15 shows with the Who opening for them.
Did you meet those guys?
yeah.
That's so cool.
Did you meet them?
Can't
Yeah,
even.
no, they're not very accessible. Right at the end of the last show that we opened, Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey were standing by the stage, and we all kind of shook their hands as we got off. So I think that was their way of making a little contact with the opening band,
Right?
You know, but we were not worthy, you know, and it was awesome. You know, they were magnificent. You know, we opened the first show after John Entwistle died at the Hollywood Bowl with them.
Really? Yeah. I saw the tour, his last tour. I saw, and I saw him down in Great Woods, and they were unbelievable. They had a horn section, and Zach, Ringo's son was drumming for them, and it was tremendous.
Yeah.
It's probably like the best concert I've ever seen. They were just so good, and just so good, and so authentic. They're the Who. You know what I mean? They weren't anything else.
Mm-hmm.
They were the Who, and the stage.
I was at a sound check when they were sound checking their equipment at the Hollywood Bowl, the first show we opened, and I remember I was standing on stage behind Pete Townsend's amp. He was using Mesa Boogie amps, and Carlos Santana once said that you can tell a great musician by their tone. And I remember being awestruck at how he dialed in his amp and guitar, and you know how he does his power chords and stuff. It was such a controlled violence coming out of his amp. I'd never heard a guitar amp sound like that.
Yeah.
So that was like amazing.
Yeah, not a lot of special effects, not a lot of special pedals or anything were used back then.
He doesn't really use it.
No,
He doesn't have a bunch of them. Yeah. You don't see that.
Minimal.
Yeah, wow. Huh. So that must have been crazy. So opening for the Who, that's a tough thing to do, I'm assuming, right? Matt?
It's a good gig if you can get it.
Yeah. I smashed a bass for John Entwistle in his name. I opened for them in
That's awesome.
and I know the band was actually mad at me for doing those. They told me I'm a geek, but I knew I was right, and I know I'm not.
Really?
You say, how do you follow that?
How did you smash it? You knocked it over or what? How did you smash it?
I was playing an old bass. I kind of kicking myself. It was a nice Vox teardrop bass, kind of like early Bill Wyman.
Yep.
And I had bought it for under $1,000 in L.A. in the '90s. And anyway, it was really beat up, and I played the whole set with that bass. And I was very quiet on stage. I was just standing next to the drummer and just kind of groove for all night. And it must have looked weird because all of a sudden after we were done, Adam's saying goodnight and we hang on for the Who. The bass player, the quiet bass player, walks up to the front of the stage and smashes his bass on the stage.
And the band was
our road
mad at
manager
you?
was pissed off.
What's the matter with
I mean,
them?
the music was stopped and you did it, like.
Yeah.
Did you really?
But I remember our road manager was pissed off. The road manager said I could have damaged there's some sort of thing they put over the stage. I could have damaged that and cost $100,000. And the band was calling me a geek, but screw them all. I was right.
Right, you ain't kidding. Because we should explain to people that Pete Townsend, part of the Who, was that Pete Townsend, he was a performance artist more than a rock and roller, and he would take his guitar and smash it at the end of, big
almost every show.
Yeah. And they were spending all their money on amps and guitars, but it was their way of performing. And for you to smash your bass, let's give them a round of applause. Come on, let's clap. Thank you. Wow.
And on YouTube by any chance?
Yeah, is it on YouTube?
I don't know. I've never searched for it. We're playing at this outdoor venue that was really beautiful near Tacoma or Seattle, and I can't think of the name of the venue, but everyone played there, including the Who, obviously, and it was about in 2001 or around that time, give or take a year or two, and
Starbucks Stadium.
I smashed a bass. It might be a video somewhere.
I'm sure there's a video
somewhere.
Yeah,
there's got to be somewhere.
Yeah.
But I got to ask you this though. We're going to come up on the end of the segment now. But listen, the band got mad at you and they're calling you a geek. They're the geeks. I mean, that's very
of course
odd. Yeah.
Badge of honor, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're paying homage,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I think of it.
But they didn't get it.
John Entwistle was the one guy who never smashed his basses, so I did it for him.
Yeah.
And he adopted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was
If you
great.
have the opportunity to do it, do it.
Yeah.
I would do it if I could.
I knew it then, and I know it today. I know I'm right.
You're like, #no regrets.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, in fact, anyone who would call me a geek is erroneous for doing that.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
That was wrong. They're wrong. I mean, I know it.
They're the geek.
Yeah. So listen, real quick, we got like a minute left, and we'll be right back. But for John Entwistle, you're a bassist. You're a great bassist. But John Entwistle, where do you put him? I mean, I put him up at he's at the top. He's kind of.
There's only a couple up there. It's Chris Squire, John Entwistle, maybe Geddy Lee.
Yeah.
But he's a notch below those two. It's those two. It's all about those two.
Yeah. When you see John Entwistle play, I mean, they say he played lead bass, but it's not really. He's like.
How about the bass player for Primus?
There's Primus. You want to go to
I like
sleep.
that guy. What's his name?
Les Claypool.
Les Claypool.
Yeah. He's a very good musician and stuff, but he's
too flash.
He's in a little kind of he's in a niche. He's not going to change the world. John Entwistle changed the world.
I saw them open for U2.
But he's great.
They opened for U2, and it was so boring. It just went on and on. Float on the Sea of Cheese or something.
Yeah.
Man. Oh.
Sailing on the Sea of Cheese.
Jesus Christmas. It's bad when everyone heads to the restrooms, when there's lines outside.
I have that album.
Do your figures.
They played the WBCN River Rave, I think, one time.
Did they really?
Yeah, I took my daughter to see him.
Yeah.
She was a big fan. So I used to keep calling them Primus, and my daughter kept, it's Primus, Dad.
Yeah, it's the name of the car. Yeah, it's really boring. Why don't we do this? On that note, why don't we take a commercial break now? You're listening to Mack Maloney Musical X-Files here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back after this.
Do you know where the world's most secret bases are located? Do you know what spooky action at a distance means? Is there a conspiracy by aliens to prevent us from conquering space? And where is the best place in the United States to see a real UFO? Find the answers to all these questions and more in Mack Maloney's new book, Mack Maloney's Haunted Universe. Visit places you never knew existed. The Phantom Tunnels of Tokyo, the UFO Trail in South America, Hong's Hats, and the very mysterious M Triangle. Mack Maloney's Haunted Universe contains hundreds of reports on ghosts, haunted planes and ships, weird celebrity deaths, mysterious sounds, and a breakdown of every monster in America, state by state. You've heard him talk about it on the radio. Now, get all of Mack's paranormal research in one large volume. Mack Maloney's Haunted Universe, with a foreword by the very famous Wan Wan. On sale now in your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
Like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it is appealing. Everything the traffic will allow. Nowhere could you get that happy feeling when you are stealing that extra bow. There's no people like show people. They smile when they are.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Musical X-Files here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. And this is Mack and Ronnie. Wow, what a show we have for you tonight. Man, it's crazy. Crazy off air, but even better on there. Let me very quickly introduce the members of the posse. Over there looking very earnest, but dressed in his rock gear. Very famous Wan Wan is here.
Hello, Mac. Hello, girls. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show.
Okay, everything good?
It's awesome. Everything's fun.
Good. No Coco tonight. He's on a secret mission up there in Battle Creek, Michigan. National correspondent Switchblade Steve Ward. Switchy.
Great to be here tonight.
For anyone who wanted to know, he had a sundae for breakfast this morning. A sundae. A soft serve.
Soft serve sundae.
Oh, man. Okay.
With chocolate syrup, whipped cream, no nuts, no cherry.
Wow. No cherry. Interesting. Okay. Anyway, let's go to,
He's allergic to red dye number 2. That's his problem.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? It starts there, you mean? Or
yeah.
That's
I don't eat cherries for that reason.
Okay, another show.
Not cherries at ice cream places.
Just don't taste good.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
Right. That's another reason.
There's so many jokes in there. Let's go up to the beauty of the beauty of the show. Wow. Should we start again?
No.
No, start.
No.
Okay, all right, sorry.
No. We're on this dirt road, and we're going to stay with it.
Just stay on the dirt road?
Yeah, just
fine.
keep the windshield wipers
I understand. We're probably out of washer, you know that,
yeah,
right?
Usually.
So, all right. Raven, save us.
There's a big raven in the road.
Yeah.
Going,
No. Raven, save us, please. How you doing, Raven?
Hello, my friends. It's so good to be here.
Hi, Raven. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
She's doing great.
Jenny Kolsch is back, and I'm feeling good about it.
Okay. Yeah. Who's back? She said Johnny Carson. No.
Who's back, Raven?
Who's back? Oh, yeah. Oh, she's talking about a beer. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you eat, you drink that stuff? That stuff is awful. Anyway.
Ugh.
Another
so
show.
Good.
We're drinking Guinness back here.
Some of us are. All right, listen.
Oh, I do like Guinness. Okay.
I'm going to go right around the Brady Bunch. Yeah. Matt Malley, bass player for the Counting Crows, joining us. Matt, how you doing tonight?
Good to be here.
Okay. We saw your dogs. Your dogs are a little too cuddly, would you say?
Wicked cuddly.
No. I thought you'd have a Rottweiler and a Pit Bull. No? Not your style?
I don't have the. I have doodle dogs and no tattoos. Strangely, it's weird, isn't it?
It is.
14 years as a rock star.
No tattoos whatsoever.
None. You never got a tattoo.
No tattoos or piercings, and I was a rock star.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And strange.
Yeah.
You know what's strange about that is when I saw you at Worcester at the what was called then the War Memorial Auditorium.
Now the Central.
Right after you got off the Voodoo Lounge tour. It was a mosh pit there for you guys. Paula Cole did her thing, and then everybody settled down. And then my daughter said, no, my daughter was invited to sit on the soundboard riser that was put together by a guy who was touring with the Rolling Stones.
Yes.
And we formed a friendship. He said, "How would you like your daughter?" I said, he says, "No, I want to be on the mosh pit that's going to be forming for Counting Crows." And I'm thinking, a mosh pit for Counting Crows?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to work.
But it was.
All right, I got okay.
It was. It was fantastic.
Let me
Do you remember that? Mosh pit?
He doesn't remember.
No, I don't. I remember occasionally that would happen to, but I always felt a little weird. You don't mosh to folk rock.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. That's what blew my
You
mind.
should have jumped in.
But they did.
It was a
They
merry,
did. This is Worcester we're talking.
It was a merry mix-up. Also joining us, Mark Poulin, very famous Boston musician. Mark, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Right. He's
Good to be here.
a member of Limbo Race, and they won the first MTV band-off, right, of the Battle of the Bands. Was it the first year you guys won?
The Rock and Roll Rumble
Rock and Roll Rumble
in Boston, yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations. In one of the
Remember the Metro?
Oh yeah. Okay. Once
Skit and Metro, those two
another show,
Yeah.
baby. Another show. We'll do that on our Boston show. Okay. The cop in the room is Jocko Johnson, NYPD Blue, for 10 years, right, Jocko? How you doing?
Sir.
How you
Good, how
doing?
are you?
Yeah, good. You see anyone who you'd arrest tonight just on the way they look?
The guy with a white beard on a microphone.
Oh, man, that hurt. Well, there's two of us. Listen,
Just kidding. Could talk about myself.
we have a special guest with us, Andy Farber. Andy, thanks for joining us. Andy.
Hi. It's nice to hear my name with an authentic New England accent, actually. A lot of these words I'm hearing also, like dirt road, that's
Dirt
great.
road.
Mosh pit, where I'm from, I think is a Yiddish word.
Well,
like Vermont
yes.
and varnish and spatula. They all sound Yiddish to me. Mosh pit.
But, of course, you're in New York, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
In Westchester.
County. Really? And you talk about the way we talk. All right. Okay, so listen. So we're just talking musician stuff, okay? And then we're waiting for the very famous Victor Wap to join us on our next segment. And so we just talk about, like, showbiz stories, all right? And I'll start with mine, and Matt, I know you have one. And if we can, 2 or 3 minutes each, and I'll just start. This is my favorite showbiz story. Richard Harris, the famous actor, okay? He was in a group with, like, Peter O'Toole and Richard Burton and all these actors from back then, the 60s. They were big. And they were a drinking group. And if one of them hadn't been drunk in 3 or 4 days, they'd have an intervention and get them drunk. That's what these guys did, right? So, and they would just take off. They would, and he was married at the time. Richard Harris was married some famous British actress. I forget her name, but she was pretty. Anyway, he takes off. He says, "I'm going down to the pub to, for a beer," and he takes off for 2 weeks. He's gone. He winds up in Dublin with all these guys. His brother calls him, and he says, "Listen, your wife is really, really mad. You're not going to get away with it this time. This is it. She's going to divorce you. It's going to be awful." So he makes his way back to London. He lived in London at the time. He goes to his gated place. They've changed the locks. He has to, climb over the wall. He has to go up. They've changed the locks on the door, right? And he's saying, "Man, I'm screwed." So he bangs on the door. It's like 2 a.m. Bangs on the door. The wife comes down. Opens the door. He's a mess, and he goes, "Why didn't you pay the ransom?" Okay, we'll sweeten that up. Please, Matt, tell us your showbiz story.
All right,
a little drum roll thing.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
You needed it.
Don't worry.
All right, I got one. So Counting Crows finished recording our first record and our biggest record. It was called. It became a hit after that. It was called August and Everything After. So we just finished recording it, but it wasn't released for a few months yet to come. And our producer was this great musician named T-Bone Burnett, who was in Bob Dylan's Rolling Thunder Revue, and he's since become a huge name in the music world. And he produced us. So he was the biggest star I knew, and he was kind of like family, though, at the time, because he spent 2 months living with us in a rented house in L.A., and was looking over my shoulder while I'm tracking my basses. So T-Bone, he made us all better musicians. He was the biggest star I ever met. So we were in San Francisco, back home where we all lived, and T-Bone asked us to come see a show and that he was putting on with his wife at the time in a sort of a converted little church in San Francisco. So we went to see T-Bone play. And backstage, T-Bone introduces me to a guy who calls himself John Paul Jones. And I'm wearing a Zeppelin T-shirt at the time, a tie-dye Zeppelin T-shirt with all four of their faces. And I had never met a rock star at some level like that. So I'm shaking this guy's hand and thinking, what kind of douche would name himself after Led Zeppelin's bass player? and so a few minutes go by, and we're leaving, and I look over, and something made me look over at him, and I see the nostrils, and I remembered there's a shot, and Song Remains the Same, where he's playing keyboards, and I went, wait a minute, that's John Paul Jones, and then we left, and I wasn't well for about a week after that, because I had met Zeppelin's bass player, didn't know it was him. I was wearing my Zeppelin tie-dye, and I didn't get a chance to go say I was a fan or anything. So that messed me up for a while, and it was a great introduction to meeting rock stars, you know. So that's my story.
And little did you know you'd be a rising rock star.
We didn't know it was around the corner for us, and we got lucky. But compared to something like him, we're just a microwaved shadow, you know, and we all knew it, you know.
Oh, wow. Next. Switchblade, go ahead. You had a story, Switchy.
Yes. Okay. This was I heard this on Art Bell's show. It was during the open line segment, and this lady called in, and Art said, "We're up against the commercial, so be succinct." So she said she had been in this bad car accident, and the car was turned upside down. She was strapped in. She was okay, but she was restrained. She couldn't get out. There were other cars involved, but some other people stopped to help out. It was night. It was wintertime, and she sees this tall man walking toward the car, and she thinks, boy, this guy looks familiar. And as he reaches in to help her get out of the car, she says, you look just like Jack Palance. Oh. And he throws his head back and laughs and says, I am Jack Palance, and you're going to be just fine.
Wow.
As the music cues and they go to the commercial, Art Bell says, what a great story. And it fades into the night.
Well, Jack Palance. If I saw Jack Palance after an accident, I think I was in hell.
Remember him doing his one-arm push-ups every time every time he won an award?
He played Dracula, right?
Yep. Hey, you want a showbiz story? This is a true story. Johnny Carson, in one monologue he did on a Halloween night, he said Charles Bronson and Jack Palance could go out trick-or-treating and they don't need masks, okay?
Yeah,
so they showed up. They walked on the show like 2 or 3 nights later. Didn't tell them, people used to walk on that show?
Yeah, sure.
And they were drunk and, let's say, allegedly. And it was awkward for a long time because Jack Palance was a scary dude, I think he wasn't just playing a part. He was a scary dude. And so was Charles Bronson.
That's why I got all those scary parts in those scary westerns, too.
Okay, I got 2 showbiz stories. Mark, you must have one, Mark, or did you tell one, Mark, already?
I told one,
okay.
Yes.
Andy, you must have one. Andy, you're in New York. You're in the
I've got many. Some of them are probably long, and some of them are probably inappropriate. But very quickly.
Tell the inappropriate one.
I don't know. What comes to mind very quickly is just a little game I used to play where, when you travel around, you play different theaters. I like to ask the stage manager at each theater around, the world, who's the nicest person in show business and who's the biggest jerk in show business, just as an informal poll.
Sure.
And almost, maybe I shouldn't say this.
Say it.
Almost to a person, the biggest jerk in show business is Paul Anka.
Whoa, now, Paul Anka, come on. Go ahead.
Paul Anka.
Why?
What can I tell you?
Okay.
And the nicest person in show business was usually Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers?
I'll tell you an interesting story about Joan Rivers. Okay. She used to hire a 17-piece big band to play behind her whenever she did a theater.
Yep, I could see that.
And, 5 saxophones, 4 trumpets, 3-4 trombones, piano, bass, drums. And she had one arrangement in her book, which is Anchors Away. And the band would play her on with Anchors Away, 16 bars, they'd cut her off. She would do 2 hours, they'd play Anchors Away, and she would leave.
Wow.
So
a lot of musicians.
A friend of mine who was actually a saxophone player in Boston, and they were playing her show somewhere, asked, like, what's this about? Why do you hire a whole band? She says, well, musicians have a good sense of humor. So if the audience doesn't get the jokes, the band will.
Wow. There you go. There's some wisdom there. I'm going to tell an inappropriate...
You pay 17 people $400 to show up, rehearse one chart, and sit there for 2 hours and watch your show. If you remember those Bob Hope specials, they always have Les Brown's band behind him on stage, and they'd be laughing at him. Or Steve Allen would have Terry Gibbs's band or one of those things, and it was a good look.
Right, it was a good
old
look.
show business.
Yeah, because if you're entertaining the musicians, people see people laugh and they tend to laugh. They tend to get the joke. Wow, that's a really good, interesting.
Rickles in his Vegas show had a full band.
Really? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And you needed the production too.
I like the Desi Arnaz band when they'd be included in a I Love Lucy show, and then they'd cut to the Copa or something.
The Desi Arnaz.
Yeah. The Tropicana.
The Tropicana. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
The Tropicana.
All right. I was going to tell an inappropriate story about Joan Rivers, and now I don't know. Do you remember what the name of her husband? Remember her husband's name?
Some weird.
Yes.
Fang.
No, Fang was Phyllis Diller.
Phyllis
Diller's husband.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That was also Soupy Sales' puppet friend.
Well, what he said was...
Oh, that's right. Soupy was great. I love Soupy.
It was Pookie. Was his puppet friend.
Oh, that's right.
Pookie?
Was there also a Fang? There was more than one. There is a puppet called Fang.
Well, Soupy Sales had White Fang and Black Tooth.
White Fang.
Yeah, White Fang. That's it.
Wow. This is God's way of telling me don't tell that story. Okay. She was a great entertainer. She was funny. And she helped a lot of young entertainers and comedians. She really did, Joan Rivers, She was a good egg. And
Edgar Rosenberg. That was the cat's name.
That's right. I'll tell you
Edgar, sure. Yeah.
I'll tell you this story off air, okay? So why don't we take a commercial break now and bring in Vic the Wop, okay? You're listening to Mack Maloney's Musical X-Files here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back after this.
And I just kept going on and on about myself. I'm taking a leak in the driveway. She says, I know you like to talk to total stranger. The story's got nothing to do with the Bruins game. It's what happened with Grandma. I was wondering if those were sadomasochism straps or something. But I digress from what I don't know.
Get into the beautiful mind of Juan Juan, only on the Mack Maloney Military X-Files Show.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Musical X-Files here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. What a show that this has turned into. Very quickly, Juan is here. Wani.
Hello.
Switchblade is here. Switch.
Great to be here.
There you go. Raven is here. Hello, Raven.
Hey.
There's no cats tonight. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it is what it is.
Okay. That's how it is. Mark Poulin, famous Boston musician. Mark Poulin. Mark, how you doing?
Hello.
Okay, you get your hat
Okay, Michael Moore now.
You do look like Michael Moore in a way. Yeah. Okay. And in shape Michael Moore, as it turns out. Matt Malley.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about that.
Bass player of Counting Crows.
You don't see this.
Mac, how you doing? Matt, how you doing?
Good to be here.
Okay.
I'm doing good.
Okay. Jocko Johnson.
Good to be here.
10 years in the NYPD. Jocko, how you doing?
Good, Mac. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Are you enjoying yourself tonight, Jocko?
Absolutely.
We want to keep you happy.
Listen, I love it.
Okay, good. All right. Two special guests. Andy Farber. Andy has joined us in a previous segment. He's in New York. He's a musician. And he got We should do the 10 musician jokes on him.
Yeah.
Remember that
Yeah.
segment?
Ooh, I love the musician jokes. My father used to tell me musician jokes when I was a kid.
Don't tell us that because we're really bad at them. What do bass players use? What do bass players use for birth control?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think I know this.
Their personalities. Come on, you're gonna keep up here.
What's the definition of a quartet? 3 musicians and a drummer.
Oh, what do you call a guy who hangs around with musicians?
A drummer.
A drummer.
That was going to be my joke. I was going to have to. That was my contribution.
Hey, how do you get a trombonist off your front porch?
Give him $5 for the pizza.
Yeah, pay him for the pizza. Exactly. All right, listen.
By the way, famous trombone player told me that joke.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Okay.
How do lead singers change a light bulb?
What's the how many?
Oh, that's a good one.
No, how does a lead singer change a light bulb? He stands still and the world spins around him.
Oh, okay.
Does a saxophone player change a light bulb?
Little bit of that. Listen, we got to
introduce this one, Matt.
Go ahead.
No.
How does a saxophone player change a light bulb?
How?
Well, normally, but he's got to go through 12 boxes of light bulbs before he finds one he likes.
Oh. What do you call an optimist?
Trombonist with a pager.
Oh, wow. All right.
Joke.
You're in.
That's a good one.
You're in the family.
Wow.
I got to introduce Vic the Wop. Vic the Wop. Okay, let's give him a hand, please, Vic. I've been very patient.
Thank you for letting me join you guys again. Okay, I have a contribution to the music joke.
Okay, we should introduce that we should say that he plays Captain Kirk on Star Trek Continues YouTube series, which is the closest thing to the original series for a lot of reasons. A lot of music, a lot of the scenes, a lot of the sets, a lot of the costumes. You really do a really good job on that, Vic.
Thank you, Mac. Thank you, my friend.
All right,
Thank
let's
you
hear
so
your
much.
story. Let's hear your story.
Four guys standing around. The first guy says, I have an IQ of 212. And they're like, what do you do? And he said, well, I'm a nuclear physicist. The second guy says, I have an IQ of 195. And they said, what do you do? He goes, well, I'm a brain surgeon. And now the third guy says, well, I'm close to you. Got like 190. And he said, what do you do? And he said, I'm a rocket scientist for Jet Propulsion Labs. Fourth guy says, I have an IQ of 70. And they said, what kind of sticks do you use?
Oh. That hurts. Yeah, hang on. Wow.
Oh, God.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just one more.
Drummers get the brunt of all the jokes.
Just one more. For some reason, trombonists do too. What's the difference between a dead chicken in the road and a dead trombonist?
Oh, I know this one.
I know this one.
Chicken was on the way to a gig.
Yeah, there's a chance.
Oh my God!
Trombonist.
Wow. Yeah, for some reason,
Okay.
trombonist. Okay, so
I gotta go now.
Okay.
I don't know why that's a thing. I mean, trombone players seem to work all the time, or at least the ones I know.
Do they really? Yeah. It's
Maybe that's why those jokes were started by jealous musicians because they weren't getting as many calls.
Jealous trumpet players. So, Vic, just tell us a little bit, our listeners, a little bit of a background on Star Trek Continues, how you put it together, then we're going to talk about the music.
Absolutely. I'm going to time myself because I think I can do this in 30 seconds. You ready?
Go.
Star Trek Continues picks up where the original series was canceled in the late 60s and finishes the 5-year mission of the Enterprise, returns everyone to Earth, and leaves everyone right where they were when Star Trek The Motion Picture came out. We rebuilt the entire soundstage. We've had tons of guest stars, great stories, great music, Andy, wonderful, wonderful stuff, and 10 million viewers. And look at that. Please join us at StarTrekInstitute.com.
Okay, we're ready to go. It's an interesting show because we watched it before the first time you're on, and if you're an original Star Trek person, okay, it sucks you in.
I am.
Yeah, it takes you maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then you realize, wow, they got the costumes, they got the music, they got that weird way of the camera moving and stuff, Really do a good job.
Vic, I was googling you. I was googling you last night, and I saw it, and it's awesome. You know, that's great
thank
work.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Hey, listen, if you have any nostalgic love for the original Star Trek series, please watch our series. Every episode is better than the last. And I want to say something, Mac. Can I say something?
Sure.
I hope you don't take this as kind of a any kind of a correction. But you know what? Anybody can wear costumes.
Okay.
Anybody can build sets. But what we did that was truly unique is the quality of storytelling and the production quality of the episodes that feel like the original Star Trek series.
They do.
There have been hundreds of fan series throughout the decades, but nothing has ever captured the essence of that series. And if I may say, the essence of the music of the series, like Andy Farber did and our Star Trek production team.
See, that's another thing, too, about Star Trek is, when I first saw it, let's say, it looked and it sounded different. It looked different, and I've said this before, because a simple thing to a youth at that time was that the spaceship moved very quickly on the screen. It didn't move slow like a lot of sci-fi movies of the 50s where the stars would move. This thing moved, and that really impressed me. And the music was the music kind of got you. You know what I mean? There's kind of a girl's choral in it, and it was exciting. But then when you get in the episode itself, the music was very odd. I thought, there was always something going on in the background or something. And hey, Andy,
they had some amazing.
Andy, is that
they
you,
had
Yuba?
some amazing composers on the original series.
Okay, sorry.
May I show you guys? This is my pride and joy here. I have the complete box set of season 1, 2, and 3, the complete soundtrack, which cost me a bundle.
Really?
But it is phenomenal.
Yep.
And just one other thing, just before you continue, Vic, in the liner notes here, it talked about how the composers, even back then, felt they were doing something really important. And this is back in the day when you were lucky if your LP came out with just a few cues from your original soundtrack. Now we have all these specialty houses where you can get complete soundtracks, which I love, being a soundtrack a fanatic, really. But go ahead, Vic.
Absolutely. I just want to say this, you guys, I am a musician. I'm a composer, singer, piano player, producer, and I always knew what an incredibly huge part of the original series the music played in the Star Trek series.
Hey, it would have been...
When we started our series, I was using that collection that you just held up. I was using it, and I chose all the cues, and I edited them and tweaked them and stretched them, and I even did some original stuff to blend in. But I need to sing Andy Farber's praises, you guys, because Andy contacted me around our 3rd or 4th episode, in between those two, and he said, hey, I'd love to write some music for your series. And my first thought was, well, nobody really writes music like that anymore. And even if they did, you would need to have an orchestra, a real orchestra, to be able to pull it off. And I didn't have an orchestra. So I said, well, I appreciate you contacting me, and we're getting ready to do a new episode. Do you want to send me a demo of something that you've done? You immediately know if it sounds like Star Trek music or not.
Yes.
And he sent me a piece that he composed, and it was absolutely spot on perfection. And from our 4th episode through the rest of our series, Andy got together. He wrote cues, original scores. We got an orchestra together. Again, something that had never been done for a fan series.
Well, let me ask.
He just took our series to the next level.
Let me throw it over to Andy. Andy has just got a Yuba delivery of his dinner. What are you having there for dinner? What do you have in front of you?
Oh, this is Japanese takeaway.
Wow.
So went to my daughter's volleyball game at school, and no one had the time to cook, which is usually me.
How dare they?
So
Yes.
We have an agreement. My wife doesn't cook, and I won't go near the laundry.
Oh, there you go. That's
a good agreement.
That's a great agreement.
Works out pretty good.
So listen.
So for 26 years, it's been okay.
Oh, that's good. Hey, Andy, let me ask you this. Let me ask you about the original series first. The music of the original series. What did they do to kind of? I don't know. Like Vic said, it always sounds like Star Trek, no matter what.
Well, because you've watched the shows over and over again. So there's 79 original episodes, but there's only 7 original scores per season, plus some library cues. And because of the way the union regulations worked at the time, if you wanted to use a new library cue that was, say, recorded in first season, in the second season, you had to re-record it. Although in theory you didn't. You could just pay the musicians again and just use the same recording.
How dare
but they
you.
figured, well, since we're going to pay this money anyway, we might as well record new music and change it up a bit. So they did. Although there are library cues from the third season that are actually re-recordings of stuff that was written for the very first pilot.
Yes.
You would have to watch the stuff a million times, like almost all of us, to realize that, here's a cue from The Cage that shows up in the third season.
Right. Let me just explain, if anyone doesn't know, a cue in any kind of a show is, if someone's coming around the corner and the music goes dun, dun, that's a cue.
Yeah.
Okay, go on, please, Andy.
Right. So, one reason why it sounds like Star Trek to us is because we're familiar with all of the stuff from reruns. But again, in those years, other 1-hour programs would be scored in a similar manner. So if you were to go back and watch a Mannix or a Mission Impossible, first of all, there's probably mostly the same musicians because a lot of the contractors will call it similar people.
Okay.
And it's about the same size of a group. And so stylistically, you might hear something on a Mission Impossible or some other hour dramatic show from, the
60s,
50s through the 70s, and here's some stuff with a very similar style. A lot of that vocabulary is postmodern music. That also, the other thing is that composers would write leitmotif, like operatic composers.
Interesting.
So each character may have its own little theme. So Alexander Courage had a little theme he wrote for the Enterprise or Captain Kirk, which is like, you might hear that.
Are we going to get
major triad and then a tritone? But Courage was the only one to use that motif, and maybe another writer would write a motif for the bad guy or a triumphant thing, and you would always hear the fanfare, the Enterprise fanfare, whenever it was on screen.
Oh, yeah.
Fred Steiner got a little sick of that, so he would turn it around and play it in retrograde. But it's the same, same pitches. And, that style of music is not that it hasn't gone away. It's that directors and producers are afraid of melody and rhythm today.
Really?
They want the music to be wallpaper and the musicians to really be sound design type engineers, with a few exceptions. Like Seth MacFarlane embraces proper scoring and real music. And a show he has now, The Orville, probably has a bigger orchestra than most feature films.
He's a
Family Guy.
He's into music,
but it's few and far between now.
Right. Let me ask you this. So,
can I bring up an example?
Go ahead. If I can just quickly ask you. So when these guys play like on a soundtrack, these musicians, do they get royalties, or is it just like a day job? I mean,
there's no royalties.
Work for hire.
There are residuals. But the union didn't. I'm not sure what the contract was prior to the early 70s. So now, if you're playing on a soundtrack and then it's reused, you'll get paid again after 13 weeks. So anybody that sings or is on a SAG-AFTRA contract gets paid per broadcast. But the AFM, the American Federation of Musicians Union contract for television is every 13 weeks.
Wow.
So a musician might do a 3-hour session for scale plus pension and health.
Yep.
And then if the show is rerun again after the 13 weeks, they'll get another payment.
Wow,
and all of that stuff adds up.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
and now there's also something called the Special Payments Fund, which adds to that. So it's always important to do union work if you can, because it will keep paying. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
The guy wrote the theme song to the Brady Bunch. Okay, the Brady Bunch bought one of the most beautiful homes in Malibu, up, looking over the ocean. From the residuals.
He lived off of that? Really?
From that song.
Wow.
Yep. I'm sorry, Vic. I interrupt you. Go,
well,
Vic.
Not just that. I was going to add to that, though. That was Frank Duvall,
okay,
who wrote that music. He also did the theme for My Three Sons.
That helped.
But had also written serious orchestral underscores. Like, have you ever seen the film Flight of the Phoenix? That's a score by Frank Duvall.
Yeah, huh?
And if you ever saw the TV show
Jimmy Stewart,
Fernwood Tonight, Frank Duvall plays the band leader, Happy Kind.
Oh, really? Oh, that's one of the funniest shows ever. Yeah. Fernwood Tonight, they could put that on now, and it would still be funny, I think. That's
so that's Frank Duvall.
Okay. Vic, please.
Yeah, I've got such a short amount of time to join you guys, and I just wanted to jump in. Andy said something that I was going to say about music.
Yes.
One of the big differences of that style and that era of music, and he hit on it, but I was going to say you can hum it.
Oh, wow.
There's actually a melody that you can hum and you remember. Whereas a lot of times nowadays TV shows are more soundscapes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bunch. It's more and Matt knows what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's pads and just moody soundscapes. And if you had to hum it, you might as well forget it. There's nothing to hum. It's just a bunch of like a wall of sound. And sure, it may be eerie or funny or suspenseful or scary or whatever.
Yep.
But back then, and you know what? One of the reasons people love John Williams so much,
yes,
is
famous
because
composer.
These type of composers write something that you can hum.
Yeah.
And sing, and
Yes.
the melody sticks in your mind.
Yeah.
Well, you know what cue you could hum? Remember the battle between Kirk and Spock in Amok
Everybody
Time?
knows it.
Yeah.
In the first episode of the second season.
Oh.
He was going to play it. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Yep.
Yep. See, Andy's all over it. Yeah, everybody does that.
We'll have to
You don't even need an orchestra. Isn't that cool? You don't even need an orchestra to go dun, 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 dun. Everybody knows exactly what you're doing.
Didn't Jim
They should
Carrey
have
do it
all
in the Cable
a cappella
Guy or
singers.
something like that?
Sure
Or- yeah.
did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
that's
and
funny.
Chris Elliott also did it in Get a Life.
You're right.
Another really funny
Composer,
guy.
Gerald Fried, lives actually in Connecticut now in assisted living facility. He's maybe 92.
Yikes.
But
my
I
gosh.
just email him once in a while, and he's doing fine.
Let me ask you
deal.
something, because I know Vic has to leave us. Vic the Wop is a very popular person, and he has other engagements. But I have to ask you this, Vic. Your idol, your mentor, your reason for being, William Shatner, turned 90 the other day. We're a timeless show, but he
Unbelievable.
turned 90. And
He
he
sure did
looks
yesterday.
He looks 50. He looks
Well, you know what? I've done a lot of events with Bill, and I've never seen anyone anywhere near his age that had so much energy
Yes.
and drive
Yes.
and zest for life.
Yes.
Can
I tell you why?
He is an inspiration.
Can
to
I
us
tell you
all.
why I think he's like that? Okay? Get ready, our editor. I don't think William Shatner gives a about anything. Okay? You know what I mean? We'll bleep that. Do you know what I mean? That's the way he kind of lives his life, you know? Now, I know someone who had to pick him up for an appearance in Albany, New York. He was speaking at Skidmore College, of all, one of the Seven Sisters, right? Very, very kind of Ivy League. He gets off the plane. He's had a good time on the plane. And he goes up to this mom who's driving him up to Saratoga and says, lot to drink, some what's it going to be? Now, that's who knows? That's just a rumor. Who knows if that ever happened? Okay, but to me, he's just like one of these guys that he doesn't care. I could see him just blowing. People giving him. I don't need this. You know what I mean? He recorded an album with Patrick Moraz of Yes when he was 80 years old. Right?
That's amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's his secret?
He
You
just
know,
did a classic episode of Ancient Aliens where he hosted a panel of people, and like Vic says, this guy is so full of energy that he's just like a bright light, just like this like a nuclear reactor going all the time.
Vic, do we offend you?
I showed up at an event in Los Angeles to do a signing with him a few years ago. And I walked in the door, and he was standing in the door. And I went, hey, and I walked over to him, and he grabbed me by the shoulders, and acted like he wanted to wrestle. And he's like solid as a rock. And I'm like, Bill, go easy on me, man.
Yes. He knew who you were. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah. But has he ever said anything to you about how you play him?
You know what? No. And I have never made it a point to talk with him about our series because, he's gotten that for 50 years.
Sure. Yeah.
I've not spoken with him much about even in the middle of while we were doing our series, but I do know that the fans, his fans and our fans, always tell him about and have mentioned our series many times. And I got the chance to tell him myself that the picture that I posted on our Star Trek Continues Facebook page yesterday saying happy birthday to him was a picture that he and I took together in Dubai.
Yeah.
And during that trip to Dubai, I told him that I created Star Trek Continues to pay tribute to him and others that inspired us so much, and that it was my love letter to Star Trek.
Wow.
And so he knows how much I love and respect him.
And the cool part about it too is that you link the end of the original series to the beginning of the movies, right?
Right.
You're on the bridge.
Right, exactly. The Enterprise returns to Earth and goes right into the dry dock that it's in at the beginning of Star Trek the Motion Picture.
Nice.
And it's a wonderful sense of closure to such an iconic TV show that was just canceled.
Yeah, just
and
canceled.
The guest stars, Vic, are phenomenal.
Yes,
from the original series and from other sci-fi series.
Yes.
Oh, I know that picture.
There he is. Okay.
I know that picture, Switchy.
What is that?
That's one you created, right?
Yes, that's
for your TV show.
Quarters.
Is that Hef's place?
That is our captain's quarter from the very first episode we shot.
Excellent.
Hey, listen, Vic.
Love it.
Vic's fans is demanding that we let him go because he has other personal appearances that he has to do. Vic the Wop, thank you for joining us. Vic the Wop, please. If we don't clap for him, who knows what will happen.
Well,
thank you very much, Vic.
Listen, if you're going to talk about Star Trek music, there's no better person to talk to than Andy Farber. So I'm so glad that Andy joined you. And Mac, let's do this again soon.
Yeah, you got
Raven,
it there, brother.
Jocko,
okay.
Mark,
there
Matt, Switchy, all of you, great to see you for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Good to see you too, Vic.
We'll talk to you soon,
Good to
Vic.
see you. Have a great night or day, wherever it is.
Hey, Vic, you're great in that show, man. You're the best, Vic.
Oh, thank you, my friend. God bless you, buddy. Thank you.
One
too,
paisan to
Thank
another.
you.
Okay, hey, listen, we're going to take a commercial break now. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Musical X-Files here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Someone's knocking at the door. This is Macaroni. What a show we have put together for you tonight.
It's fascinating.
Without any plan at all. We put this together with duct tape.
We're just rolling with it.
Right,
rolling with the punches,
Girls, that voice you hear is a very famous wah-wah.
Hello, Mac. Hello, girls.
And I got
show's been fun.
I got an email from a fan listening said that we didn't mention the big box of wipes tonight for some reason.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
We mentioned the Kleenex.
Usually we do.
The fan, the mister, but not the wipes.
I heard it. You did.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, Jocko. I'm glad he's here. Okay. All right. Anyway, no Coco tonight. He's on a secret mission up there in Battle Creek, Michigan. The Battle Creek of the Republic is Switchblade Steve Warner, national correspondent, Switchy.
Great to be here on a show talking about TV and film soundtracks.
Right. And listen, I just want to remind everyone, tell everyone that we were number 17 in New Zealand 2 weeks ago, okay, at News and Commentary Podcasts, all right? So when I say, Switchy, please update people who might not have heard the first hour of the show or maybe fell asleep or jumped out the window. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Essentially, I had for brunch a sundae with vanilla ice cream, chocolate syrup,
yes,
whipped cream,
yes,
no hot fudge, no nuts or cherry,
okay,
but just a basic
that's
sundae.
Right. Okay, no, hey, I remember him saying that before, and now
and it
all
was
those
pretty damn good.
Jokes are coming back.
First Sunday of the season.
No hot fudge.
Right, soft serve.
Soft serve.
No, not hot fudge. chocolate syrup.
A chocolate dip.
Okay.
They dipped it. Yeah.
Is it Fox You Bet?
All right.
Okay. Here we go. All right.
I like the Blizzard. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. It's
Dairy
about
Queen.
10,000 calories.
They should become a sponsor for crying out loud.
Up there in, I love them. Up there in.
Go to the one in Salisbury?
Upstate New York, yes. Of course.
We'll have to meet there sometime.
Okay. Are you going to buy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right.
Anything you want off the menu.
Anything I want at Dairy Queen?
The large Blizzard.
Wow. Really?
A Heath Bar Blizzard large.
That's a friend.
Okay.
That's a real friend. Up there in upstate New York. Her eyes just went wide. Is our good friend Raven. Raven, how are you doing?
Hi. My heart just started pumping at the thought of a Heath Bar Blizzard.
There you go. You know,
that's what it takes.
That's like a love language.
See? Did you know that I was into Heath Bar Blizzards and Stevie
now.
Nicks?
Okay, all right.
I did.
Well,
you know what?
This is a
honestly
dog
like.
Listen, why don't you just show her your
I have
cats?
no words.
Show her your cats.
My Stevie Nicks tat?
Really? All right, listen.
You know I'm going to get that next.
Thank you. Thank you, Raven.
After watching all our videos last night till about midnight.
How can you stand it? It's like, it's like a bunch of old pervs or something.
I don't know. She's just, she rocks my world. What can I tell you?
She's the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's good, man.
Let's go to a famous Boston musician, Mack Poulin. Mack, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Okay. Mack used to play John Lennon in a Beatlemania-like band. Okay, and John Lennon is.
And what was the name of that band?
The Beatles. He was.
No, I mean.
What was the name? What was the name of that band?
It's called Help.
Help. Yeah.
Help. That's it. Okay.
They did really good versions of Beatles songs that you might not hear from other Beatle.
Yeah, like filler. Yeah.
My favorite is Tomorrow Never Knows. I like to hear bands cover that.
They used to. Mark used to sing that. So listen, Mark, thanks for joining us.
A 1/4.
Right.
Another musician is joining us, Matt Malley, bass player from Counting Crows. Matt, how you doing tonight? Should we even ask?
I'm doing all right. Mm-hmm. A little rattled.
Because of the dog incident earlier in the show?
Yeah, I just had to feed them their dinner. They started jumping on me.
Okay.
They just get the wild side comes out when they get hungry.
Well, oh, really? Okay. All right. Also,
sounds like one.
The guy that's
I beg your pardon.
Meow. The guy who sounds like a cop is a cop. Jocko Johnson, NYPD, 10 years. Jocko, how you doing?
Good, Mac.
Yeah.
Good. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So I asked you off here, did you ever slap any rock stars around? Axl Rose or any of those guys?
No, I never really had any interaction with them other than security, at concerts.
Right. I'm going to introduce another New York musician, Andy Farber. Do you ever slap Andy around? Does he look familiar to you?
Not look familiar. I don't think I would.
Okay.
I didn't do that kind of stuff.
Andy, thanks for joining us.
There were some guys who did, but not me.
Okay. All right. We understand that. Andy, thanks for joining us. Andy, among other things, composed music for Star Trek Continues, a YouTube series that bridges where the Star Trek TV show, the original one, left off to the beginning of the movies. Victor Wap was with us earlier. He had to go. He had a lot of screaming fans outside that he had to go address. Andy, thanks for staying with us. Andy, you are a New York musician, right?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. If you had to do it...
primarily, you want my whole CV?
Sure.
The quick version is that I'm a jazz saxophonist and a composer and arranger. And I also do film and TV commercials and that sort of thing.
Okay.
Who's your favorite saxophonist?
Whatever it takes to keep the lights on around.
Right. Mm-hmm. Who's your favorite saxophonist?
That's a very long list indeed.
Well, name a couple, guys.
Too long of a list. Name a couple.
Kenny G.
Coleman Hawkins, Ben Webster, Lester Young, Don Byas, Gene Ammons, John Coltrane.
John Coltrane.
A whole pile of them.
Yeah. Are you a jazz guy? If you could only listen to one kind of music, would it be jazz?
Ooh, I don't like to limit myself, but probably.
Yeah.
Duke Ellington said there's two kinds of music, good music and the other kind.
Whoa. Okay, yeah, and he was one of the best. So did you go to music school? Did you go to school or you're self-taught?
Well, a little of both. You learn music on the bandstand, and you learn music your own way. But I also did go to conservatory, Manhattan School of Music.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Does it take the fun out of it going to school? I mean, I know some people who have gone to like conservatories, and they go on to be musicians that you just read. You get gigs where you just go in, you read the music. It seems like almost without emotion to me, if you know what I mean. Or am I just a grasshopper?
No, there are probably people that play that way, but fortunately, I don't wind up on the same gig with them if they're just mowing it down like numbers. You know.
Yeah, right.
You might as well crunch numbers. Massage money on Wall Street if you're going to do that. Make some real money.
Yeah.
You got to hear the humanity in the music, whatever kind of music it is, and you have to play for the people. No matter how much of an artist you want to be, you're still, in some regard, in some small sense, you have to play as an entertainer. If you're just playing to impress your colleagues and students or each other, and it's, it's not sports.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
But there's something to be said, you guys. I wanted to say that I did a semester in college of theory, and that's the extent of my knowledge, my academic knowledge.
Right.
But I recently found a YouTube of John Coltrane's Giant Steps, which I'm sure you know about, Andy, and how he designed that chord change to be as far away as you can get on the circle of fifths, and that's why it's so hard for everybody to solo over it. And I barely knew what the circle of fifths was most of my life, and then learning about this on YouTube, I realized I've missed out on a lot by not studying music. Well,
there's a lot.
It's interesting. A lot of musicians that have good ears know that stuff already. They just don't know what it's called. Like I worked for years with this singer, John Hendricks, who had been in a vocal group called Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross in the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
And then was, a solo jazz artist for until, he died a few years ago in his 90s. In fact, what year is it? Well, his 100th birthday would be this September.
Okay.
But John didn't read music and didn't know anything about theory, but he knew everything about it. He could hear it, and he could dictate. He could tell you the chord progression of any song he knew by arpeggiating it with his voice.
Wow!
And he would play. He would sing the tonic, and then he would sing the rest of the notes in the scale. He didn't know what any of them were called, but he could hear everything.
Wow! Yeah. Wow! So what is why are people like that? Do you think certain people, we talk about this all the time on the Paranormal
Why are
show.
people so gifted?
Why are people so gifted? Why are some gifted and some aren't? Is it in their DNA? Is there some people born to be musicians?
Well, probably. It's just like some people are born to be able to hit a fastball, be able to see that, or a golf ball, or whatever thing that is a specialty. Somebody is predetermined somehow. I don't want to say why, but we all have something that we can do. And, it just so happens that some people have perfect pitch or can hear everything, and some people excel in athletics or in words and letters, telling a story, being dramatic. Yes. Why is, Patrick Stewart a great actor, and some other people can act or act for a living, but they actually suck at it?
Yes. Why
no
is it?
names.
Why is it?
You know what I'm talking
about. Well, let's hear it. No, wait a minute. What do you mean? What do you mean? Who are you talking about?
I feel like everyone knows who you're talking about.
No, I'm not talking about anyone in particular.
William Shatner?
But you know the type. You've seen them on television. There are people that get hired because they can do a job for other reasons. Sometimes being a great artist is not what's important.
What are you talking
Sometimes to be cast in a television show means that you look good, you can memorize 12 pages of dialogue overnight and hit your marks without looking down.
Yes.
And do things in 1 or 2 takes.
Yes.
That's cost effective.
Yes. Right.
Yes. The performance is not going to be Meryl Streep necessarily, but it's good. It's close enough for government work.
So are you talking about? Are you talking about like just like stupid sitcoms and stuff like that? Just like really dumb stuff? Is that what you mean?
It could be a drama. It could be drama. It could be off Broadway. I mean, I've seen people that are not artists, but they're professional. They come in, they do the job, they get it done. They're not trying to same with music. There are people that are very reliable at certain things, and if you know what the right role for them is in the organization, playing this part, doing this, it can be the right fit.
U2 is a band. famously Brian Eno said about U2 is that when he was producing their biggest records, is that they're a band that knows how to expand within their limitations. I thought that was a great thing to say about a limited style band like U2.
Right. Yeah. They didn't really know how to play music or anything. And if you see that documentary, I keep forgetting the name, but where it's Jimmy Page, The Edge, and the guy from the Black Stripes, it'll be loud or there's going to be noise or something. It's 3 hours with these guitar players.
Make it loud.
Right.
Jack White?
Jack White. And you can see, Jimmy Page needs a little amp, and he has a Den electro guitar, and he's playing Led Zeppelin. That's all there is, right?
You can do it with a bow, too.
Right. The Edge has a room filled with every it looks like Star Trek, every this and that, and then things moving up and down and video screens. But he has that sound. He has that sound. You hear it in ads these days. That kind of.
It sounds like a lot of open chord stuff, which I find fascinating and interesting.
In the background. But he says that he can't even play a chord, and they didn't know how to read music. Neither did the Beatles. But there was just something about them, as Matt said, they were like a little band that just boom run around the world.
Yeah.
They are the biggest band probably.
Can I mention something about saxophones? And because he didn't mention one of, the saxophone. Like in the 50s was like today's lead guitar. There was always a saxophone lead, a saxophone middle, a saxophone intro, and a saxophone outro. Mm-hmm. It seemed like to me.
Yep.
You're talking about in like early
rock and roll. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or even 60s rock and roll.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
To me, a good sax lead, let's say, or a sax solo.
Wackety sax.
You know it when you hear it, and it makes your skin like move.
Yes.
You get sexual
I don't know.
feelings out of it.
What?
And that is
Jocko.
I don't know who. I'd have to Google it. But I don't know who the saxophone player was for the middle part for "The Look of Love's," the version by Dusty Springfield.
Andy probably knows.
And Stan gets an Astrid Gilberto.
Well, let me ask you something about the saxophone.
Girl from Ipanema.
Right. Let me ask you something about the saxophone. Why do when you play sax in a rock song, it's in a different key or something? Isn't the sax like in a different key from everything else or something?
No, you play in whatever key you want. When you're reading music, in other words, if you're reading music and you're playing the tenor saxophone and something is written as, if you want to hear a middle C, it has to be written as a D, an octave and a whole step up.
Why?
Only so that all the saxophone players can read music and read the same music on all of the different saxophones. But other instruments are like that. The trumpet, the trombone. The trumpet, there's a B-flat trumpet, there's a C trumpet, there's a trombone with a B-flat fundamental, but it reads concert pitch.
Right.
And then there's the oboe and the English horn and the bassoon, all this stuff. And, you learn to read. And some of them are transposing instruments and some of them are not.
Do you hate Kenny G?
Something about Kenny G.
I never met the man.
Okay.
I try to avoid
Kenny G.
listening to it. It's just what's the you just avoid it.
Yes.
It's like I don't like kale.
Here's the secret.
But it doesn't bother me because I don't buy it and I don't eat it.
Right. Hey, Jocko, you probably have the complete Kenny G collection, do you? I see you as a Kenny G.
Yeah, no Kenny G, Max. Sorry.
All right. So here's the thing about the Kenny G, and it kind of leads me to a bigger thing, is that Kenny G, in my mind, when you hear his name, when he's successful, or he used to be. And I remember someone telling me, who was a writer, they were driving through the middle of Mississippi, and they were doing a book on like old blues, greats and stuff, and there were billboards for Kenny G. See Kenny G down at some casino. And he said, this isn't right. This isn't right, But on the other hand, Kenny G has carved out his own little thing in the music business.
He does have a niche.
And if you succeed in the music business, man, you're really doing something. I don't like Madonna. I'm sure that Raven does. Raven, are you a Madonna fan?
Okay.
Do you remember Madonna?
I remember Madonna.
Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Give me 80s Madonna all day.
Really?
After the 80s, I'm like, I'm tired of you.
She changed. But she's still around. She's still
around. I think she's being kept alive artificially at this point. She is.
I got a 12-inch remix of Lucky Star backed with Borderline. I said, this chick's going to be just a two-hit wonder, and that's it.
Well, you were right about that.
She's in the same cryogenic chamber with Cher, I think.
Cher.
Oh, don't talk about Cher.
Cher, I love Cher.
How dare you talk about Cher
Cher
like that?
could sing.
Remember that
They on
video?
the County Fair circuit yet?
The video, her performance on the Grammys.
Yes.
Cher. If I could turn back time.
Yes.
And the costuming.
It's fantastic.
And the choreography in that.
Can I tell you something about
was
Cher?
dripping. It's like my TV was like oozing something.
Listen.
You probably have the old vacuum tube.
Did you clean it up?
Transistors.
Wow.
I had to vacuum up the vacuum tube.
Wow.
The vacuum tube, whatever, oozing.
Let me tell you something about Cher, please. Okay.
I love an oozing television.
Yeah. Cher thought that Mount Rushmore was a natural formation. Do you know that?
No.
Yes.
And I don't care. I don't care what Cher thinks.
That's a true story.
I loved her in the movies.
She's such a queen.
Yeah.
She's up there with Stevie.
Why was she?
She's up there with Dolly. Oh, what a queen. Love her.
Why would she be married to Sonny
but
Bono?
nothing without Sonny, right?
Nothing with Sonny. He was talk about a foul ball, man. That friggin' guy.
That poor guy.
Poor guy. He turned into one of these real kind of odd politicians.
Yeah.
And he was
in California.
And he was also
Heck, he was on the $6 Million Man for crying out loud.
He was good in Airplane 2.
Airplane. There you go.
The bomber.
And he used to hang around.
Oh my God!
He used to hang around with the wrecking crew.
Oh, the airplane movies. Oh my gosh!
He used to hang around with the wrecking crew, and that's how they kind of made their. That's how they kind of got into showbiz. But he turned into kind of like a real kind of right wing politician, and he was on these committees anti-drug committees. And it turned out when he went into a tree.
Awful.
He was high on the whole pharmacy of stuff. So he was kind of a hypocrite. Allegedly. So anyway,
I have a question for Andy.
Yes,
Andy, about the music for Star Trek Continues. Is that available anywhere for download or anything like that?
Yeah, if you go to their website, you can download all of it, or just about all of it. Or if you send me an email, I can give you a link to some of the stuff that may not be on there. By the way, because we had to do that completely as a volunteer effort, so that CBS and Paramount wouldn't shut us down in order to be a fan film. None of the actors and, I guess they could have paid me, but, this was just something I wanted to do right in that style. So I got an orchestra. A friend of mine who knew I was into Trek said, you should contact a trumpet player who's also a professor at RIT, at Rochester Institute of Technology, but he did his DMA, his doctorate of trumpet and his undergrad and master's at the Eastman School. So his name's Jonathan Kruger, and he got in touch with me, and he had found in the library at the Eastman School of Music original scores by Alexander Courage in pencil for the 2 pilot episodes of Star Trek.
Wow.
The Cage Where No Man Has Gone Before. And he entered that into Finale, the notation software, and sent me this stuff. So we started to have a relationship over the phone, and he told me that some undergrads at the Eastman School wanted to start an orchestra that was going to play film music. And it was going to be the Eastman Film Music Ensemble.
Cool.
But unfortunately, the administration couldn't figure out how to make it a accredited thing, and they were going to have to do it on their own, which they did. And the Eastman School said, listen, you can't use our name Eastman, because it's not officially affiliated with the school.
Yep.
So because it's New York, the Empire State, they call it the Empire Film Music Ensemble, or more properly, F Me.
Oh.
So
don't need to be a musician to get
on the radio. You can't tell that I'm doing a sort of Jack Benny look off camera when I say F Me.
Yeah, right. He does look like Jack Benny, as it turns out.
Carson used to do that too. He would look backstage. We go,
yeah, Carson. The one thing about we got 2 minutes. The one thing about Carson. And Switch and I have exchanged YouTubes of Carson, okay? And this is really going down the old folks road. But there was something about Johnny Carson where even when he bombed, he was funny.
Right.
He's like the perfect comedian.
That's part of the act. They would purposely write bad jokes so that he could then the audience would groan and then he could say, may a weird holy man put easy off in your shorts.
Yeah, right.
Or use the word yak in a sentence,
And he'd do the two-step, T for two for me. They did the little music in the background.
I wrote a tune based upon the chord changes of T for two, and I call it I for one.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Johnny Cash is funny. There's a different kind of humor. If you look at those old clips, I can remember because I used to watch them all the time. It's a different kind of humor, but it's funny. It's funny.
All the hosts after that.
It's different.
Do it for me.
Yeah. You can't just do it. I mean,
Conan, you're right. But I go back and look on YouTube for old Jack Parks because the guy would tell a story.
Yep.
Jack Park could tell a story and you'd be drawn in, and there's no jokes there. It's just you're hovering on every word because he's almost nervous. Well, I must tell you, and we were at the thing, and Liza showed up, and
his delivery was amazing.
And there's a whole hour of him with Cavett. I love Cavett.
Yeah.
Letter poured in. He's got nobody. Actually, you know what? People do this today, but just not on television. It's all about the podcast.
Yes.
So
we are one.
Well, these proper interviews are no longer on television. Well, there's too much advertising and people are changing around. Nobody's got the patience for it on the television.
Yes.
But there's so many podcasts that are fantastic where they really dig into, Mark Maron, the comic. He's got a great podcast.
Okay.
If you like show business, you must check out Gilbert Gottfried's podcast.
He's an unbelievably funny guy. Yeah.
He has legends on.
Yep.
Half the people that were on his show are dead now.
Yeah. He does a bit. We really have like 1 minute left. He does a bit where on the Honeymooners, where James Mason is Alice and Jack Nicholson is Ralph. I can't do it, but it's friggin' hilarious, And it goes on for about 10 minutes.
Gottfried, he had that voice, too.
That voice is so funny, so funny. And he's been on Stern, and apparently he opened for, like, a revival of the Monkees or something. Someone gave him this gig that he shouldn't have had. And all these kids, they're all like kids, from 7 to 11, right? And he just tells the filthiest jokes until someone took him off the stage, which is what he wanted. He's a funny guy. Anyway.
The Aristocrats, that one.
The Aristocrats, what a movie. You ever see that movie? It's based on one joke where all these famous comedians tell a different version of this joke, and it's the grossest, most it's awful. And then they always say, what's the name of the band? And he says, the Aristocrats, and it's terrible. It involves everything. Animals. Anyway.
The whole family.
Yes.
Sorry, I was thinking of another Gilbert Gottfried joke that is just so out there that it's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. So what are we saying? New entertainment just doesn't cut it compared to
I might have to back
the era
up
we were talking
to do
about.
a Gilbert Gottfried impression. I don't want to break my microphone preamp.
Go ahead. Try. We'll pay you for it.
But basically the gist is this, is that he tells a story about a guy walking in the woods and then a spaceship from out of nowhere, comes down and lands in a clearing, and the stair, gangway comes out, and aliens come out, and they take this guy into their ship, and they say, we've been watching your planet for years and monitoring your communications. Yes. We have one question. Ben Gazzara, he's a good actor. Why doesn't he have a series?
Ben Gazzara. Wow. Okay.
Run for your life.
Run for your life. Right. Exactly.
It's random.
Look, why don't we all do that now? We're at the end of the show. So it's time to run for our lives. First,
he's an anatomy of the murder.
Let me thank everybody, okay? First of all, let me thank Jocko. How about thanking Jocko first? Let's really clap for Jocko so he doesn't get mad at us. Okay. So listen, anywhere I go, anywhere I get pulled over, I can say...
Okay, I'm not mad.
We know Jocko.
We know Jocko? That's going to get me out of it?
I'm happy to be here, man.
Okay, good.
I contribute to all the policemen's funds. That's what I try to do.
Because things like that have happened.
I put the stickers on my windshield.
Leaving the radio station. Okay.
I don't get any of it, so don't worry.
Jocko. Wow. Jocko, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you very soon, but hang on. Let's see. Matt Malley. Matt Malley, thank you for joining us. Matt Malley.
Thanks for having me.
I know you have to. You have to go feed, not the dogs. The dogs are fed. Yeah, let's clap for Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Right.
Guys and girl.
Okay. 14 years in Counting Crows. Would you do it again?
That's a good question. I would do it again with more clarity, and like if yeah, like when I see BS happening, which can happen in rock bands and stuff, I'd speak up a little more when I see it happen.
Yeah.
That's what I would do it again if I could do that.
Yeah.
Well, remember, Matt, the music business has no rules, and they are strictly adhered to.
That's
You got that right.
Put it.
Yeah.
It's a wild frontier.
There's we're running over now, but there's a guy, a musician that Mark Poulin and I know. His name is Marty Fire, okay? And he used to play Ringo in Beatlemania, okay? And he was a guy who... He was just a musician, drummer, all right? And I said to him, when did you start making money in music? He said, as soon as I started bringing a switchblade into the club owner's office afterwards to collect our money. And I said, you got to be kidding me, right? He says, I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. You know, because they're always saying there isn't, you know, you're going to get 600, but there isn't enough people here, so we're going to give you 200. Oh, yeah? And Marty is the kind of guy that, you know, you wouldn't want to screw around with. Okay? So anyway...
Maybe Bobby Fuller tried that.
There you go. Maybe.
Oh,
you know what?
Yeah, there you go.
You don't think? But
you know, I must tell you, I had that happen to me once.
Go ahead.
There was a restaurant on Long Island, and I was doing a quartet there. It was a Hammond organ player, guitar.
Yes.
Me, a Hammond organ player, guitar and drums. You know, like that old Chicken Shack, Jimmy Smith kind of thing.
Okay.
And it just so happens that the night we were playing there was a terrible rainstorm, and very few people showed up. And at the end of the night, they offered us half the money that we were promised.
Okay.
And it seemed like they didn't even have any more money in the till. There was just no money to get from them.
Yes.
So as we're going out through the back, because the parking lot's in the back, we go through this hallway next to the kitchen, and there's all the storage. There's a case of Glenlivet whiskey. You know, like 12 bottles. I'm like,
that's
well,
bad.
this'll
Wow,
compensate.
that's bad.
So I just happened to put it in my car.
We'll take that.
That's mine now.
I never heard from the guy.
There's my New York guy right there.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
They got for it somehow, right?
I love it.
So
I gave half of it to the organ player, but you know.
Really? Why would you do that?
He's dead now.
Oh, then why would you do that?
But not because of that.
Okay. No, that's your side of the story. Okay.
Oh, I don't think so. No.
Andy Farber, that voice you hear. Andy, did you go to school? Did you just? We got 30 seconds. Do you have this voice, or did you have like a real radio voice? Are you a singer? Are you a singer as well?
No, I can't sing anything. It's a radio microphone.
Yeah, I mean, but
like yours, but much older. This is an EV 664. You maybe recognize it from the Watergate hearing.
Yeah, where the lawyer would go, come over here, Nick.
Senator, I'm really not at liberty to say.
In my head, it's like it sounds like a whine to myself. To me, I think I sound like Wallace Shawn. Really? Oh, I didn't know that. This microphone makes me sound old better.
Wow, that sounds like Gilford Godfrey to me. But I've had a couple of beers.
Oh, that's twice as loud.
Thank you, Andy, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Okay, and if I went on the road, I'd bring someone like Jocko with me. And if anyone said to me, "Hey, we're going to only give you half the money tonight,"
yeah,
just send them in there.
Jocko, did you hear that?
Right?
It don't work. Yeah, it don't work. You got to have a conversation.
Why?
It's not going to work.
Why? Tune them up a little bit.
No, I'm saying the guy. It's not going to work. We haven't talked.
Oh, okay, all right. You got to talk to him.
You wait in the car, and I'll go in the office.
There you
and we'll
go.
have a little
See.
chat.
Anyway,
the persuader.
Thank you.
You got to understand. You got to explain things sometimes.
Right. Educate people.
Jocko, were you ever a consultant to a mafia movie or anything like that?
No, I was a private investigator for a while.
There you go.
No movies.
Very soft. Very soft no there. All right, look, we got in.
Is there such thing as a semi-private investigator? So it's maybe less expensive.
Maybe.
Only half the people know him.
You just don't have a license. I don't know.
Okay,
yeah, that's pretty.
All right, we're running overtime here.
Here we go. Mark Poulin, thank you for joining us. Andy Farber, thank you. Mark Poulin, thank you for joining us. And hopefully, whatever that you found out in front of your house turns into, a couple grand, and we can hit the beachcomber. How's that for a plan?
There you go. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Yep, like Keno and stuff.
Okay. I'm really, really running late, but I got to tell you, the first time Mark ever went to a racetrack was up in Saratoga, New York, where I used to live.
Oh, God,
right?
yeah, that one.
He goes and he bets the exacta, which means you have to have the 1 and 2 horse in order, okay?
Right.
He comes back to me and he says, I think I bet this wrong. And he's trying to tell me it's a quinella. where you can bet either number. Okay, I know this is getting into betting, right?
I get it.
But I said to him, listen, if you think you've bet it wrong, the best thing to do is just go back and bet it right. Because if it comes in and you didn't bet it again, it's deflating. Okay. He goes and he does that, and he comes back and he bet it correctly both times, and it was like, what was it, $1,800, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he's going.
Yeah, I didn't know the lingo, but I wound up with it.
He goes, what's that? What's this mean? I said, it means you're paying for everything. You know,
That's
tonight,
right.
tomorrow, the works.
And I did.
Okay. Yeah, you did.
That's wicked cool.
There you go.
Good story.
Okay, anyway, listen. All right, thank you, Mark, for joining us. Raven, have I thanked you? I'll thank you twice. Okay? All right?
Okay. All right, I'm good with that. Thank you for having me.
And you hung in with us, right? You hung in with
She
us?
did. Thank you, Raven.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's good. Thank you. She's laughing. I wish we were a radio show. Oh, I mean a TV show.
I was like, wait, we're not a radio show?
And he has smiles.
I need Tifa, too.
I don't know why I make these facial expressions. No one can see me.
Anyway, thank you. Have I thanked everyone? I thank you.
Not yet, but
no. Okay. Thank you, Juan.
It's a thought that counts.
Thanks, Switch yet.
Didn't
Switch.
Switch. Sorry, Switch.
Great to be here. One of my favorite subjects tonight.
Really? What? Chocolate ice cream sundaes?
Yeah. No. It's film soundtracks, man.
Oh.
Although, ice cream sundaes are
really?
quite close second.
Neck and neck. Okay.
You know what soundtrack we didn't mention yet? We'll mention it next time.
What's that?
Well, say it. Don't tease us.
Downton Abbey.
Oh,
come on, one of the best.
We'll cut that out. Don't.
It's excellent.
Every character had a signature song.
Oh,
remember each one of the daughters had a signature song when they walked down the stage, down the stairs, and
Andy.
show up.
I have not seen it.
There you go. Yes.
Amazing.
I don't know how it sounds either.
Jocko probably has
in one, the beginning with the castle, and he's walking with the dog.
Okay.
Yeah,
We gotta go.
That opening music.
Yeah.
We got to go.
Oh.
We got to go. Okay. All right.
Gives me goosebumps.
Hey, Mac, they watch this stuff.
I know. I don't know. I can't
One more thing.
understand it,
Maybe that's-
Jocko. I don't understand it. You know, someone says they eat too much tofu. I don't know if that has some kind of a...
I hate tofu. I hate tofu, and I hate sushi.
Okay. All right. But remember someone wrote in and said that if you eat a lot of tofu, there's a lot of estrogen in tofu.
That's true, and you're watching a lot of British dramas as a result.
Exactly. Okay, all right. It's not an unsolved mystery. I thank you, everyone, for listening.
Now, the name of that,
Go ahead. Mark Poulin has the last word.
the name of the Star Trek show again?
Yes.
I'll have to look into that.
Star Trek continues. Yeah.
Star Trek continues.
Right.
And that's on
YouTube.
YouTube, and they have their own website where I believe you can stream or download.
Right.
Okay, I want to check that out, yeah.
Good stuff. A lot of fun.
Yeah, if you have any kind of, interest in Star Trek, the original series or any of the Star Trek, just look at it and watch it and you say, wow, there's so much work on the detail of it is I think what makes it enjoyable to watch, I mean, and they do have stars from the old show and stuff. Andy Farber, real quick, where can people find you? You must have a website.
Yeah, well, my website's pretty sad, and I think lately it's been down. So I'm on Facebook. You can get me through there.
Go ahead.
And I'm pretty easy to Google and track down. So
Okay. How do you know? What's the difference between seeing a dead saxophonist in the road and a dead snake in the road?
Yeah, that's not a joke. But how about this one?
Well, what's the
What's the difference
punchline?
between a violin and a viola?
Go ahead.
A viola will burn longer.
Oh, wow. But
Isn't there one about throwing a banjo or something like that?
No, what's
that one?
the definition?
I was doing a recording recently, and I had not heard this before, and the guitar player had to double on banjo. And he was playing acoustic banjo with a microphone, and one of the trumpet players says, hey, what's the best kind of pickup to put on a banjo? And it's like, well, I don't know. You got Ford F-150.
Wait a minute.
Good one.
Beautiful.
Hold on. First of all, the punchline to my joke is what's the difference between a dead saxophonist in the road and a dead snake in the road is that there are tire marks in front of the snake.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Skid mark.
I'm sorry. I completely messed that one up for you. It's my
That's all
fault
right.
for not reading the room.
It's okay. That's right. It's a tough crowd. Thank you, Andy, for joining us. Hopefully you'll come back. We've had a lot of fun tonight on Mack Maloney's Musical X-Files. And until you hear us next week, this is Mack for the entire gang saying be safe, be happy, and...
Bye-bye.